Welcome to Watchman on the Wall, a daily outreach of Southwest Radio Ministries and SWRC.com. God is still on the throne, and prayer changes things. Today, best-selling author Jonathan Cahn begins a new teaching series based on his just-released book and DVD entitled The Dragon's Prophecy. Recently, we announced a very special $100,000 matching gift opportunity. Through September 30th, every dollar given to Southwest Radio Ministries is being matched. Your gifts are being doubled up to $100,000. I'm happy to report that as of today, we are over 87% of the way to our goal of matching $100,000. We praise the Lord and say thank you to all who have given. Right now, your gift of any amount will go twice as far. Please help us meet the match with your gift today. You can give at our website, swrc.com, or by calling us at 1-800-652-1144. Thank you for your continued support of Watchman on the Wall and Southwest Radio Ministries. Just when you thought Jonathan Cahn's books couldn't get more explosive, comes the brand new The Dragon's Prophecy, Israel, the Dark Resurrection, and the End of Days. Here to help us unpack this brand new book and DVD series is our host, Dr. Larry Spargimino and Jonathan Cahn.
For the last several years, and at the end of the summer, I've interviewed Jonathan Cahn on a new book that he has just finished. Well, it's the end of the summer, and he has just finished a new book. The new book is titled The Dragon's Prophecy, Israel, the Dark Resurrection, and the End of Days. Thank you, Jonathan, for your new book and for being on the show with us once again. It's a great privilege.
Always a joy, Larry. For years, it's always a joy to be back with you.
Well, Jonathan, The Dragon's Prophecy is your first book that became a global bestseller before it even existed. Now, that's interesting. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, I've been blessed that every book, by God's grace, has become a bestseller, and we had tremendous response, but there's been nothing like this, and that is that when I just first mentioned it, and like on the web, and when I was still working on it, I hadn't been finished, people were so excited about getting it that they started pre-ordering it. It became a bestseller without existing, and it became one of the top 20 books on the planet without existing. So we have never seen any such a wave, such intense excitement about something. And I had not planned to write this book. It was really the Lord. So I know that this is for now.
Well, Jonathan, how is The Dragon's Prophecy different from any other book that you've written, and what is it going to reveal?
Yeah, this is, every book that I've written opens up mysteries and opens up, revelations about what is happening now and from how it goes back to what God has written and God has revealed, and we're actually part of it. This, and so does The Dragon's Prophecy. But the Dragon's Prophecy is the only book I've ever written that specifically opens up end-time prophecy. Totally. What is actually happening now that is linking to that is moving toward that. I've never done that fully like that. The subtitle is Israel, the Dark Resurrection, and the End of Days. And so this is also the only book I've ever written that as I'm writing it, it actually, the events started coming true and happening in the world, and so I had to keep on revising it because it kept happening, and I've never had it like this. And the other thing is that I've never seen so much opposition or like warfare over books. I've seen warfare over books, but I've never seen it like this one, as if something, to seek to stop this thing coming out. Which you could imagine that with a book that is called The Dragon's Prophecy. So this is unique and explosive in many ways. There are things in it that if the media got a hold of it, they probably try to ban it. And it's everything. From there's something called the return of the sea peoples we'll get into, the mystery mystery of the beast, a whole different thing on that. The dark resurrection, what is that? The mystery of days, even countdowns, which may even tell us what is going to happen and when. So there's so much in this that is like a whole new realm, a whole new dimension.
Jonathan, is it true that one of the mysteries in the book foretold the invasion of Israel by Hamas? What would happen and even when it would take place?
Yeah, Larry, this happened in where I am. I'm in New Jersey, and leading the congregation called Beth Israel. And as I'm doing that, it's a Friday night, and I'm opening up a mystery from the Bible, and the mystery is going to ordains that there's going to be an attack on Israel. It's going to take place in the year 2023. It's going to happen in the autumn. It's going to happen in the month of October. It's going to take place, it's going to catch Israel by surprise. It's going to take place on a Saturday on the Sabbath. It's going to take place on a Hebrew holy day. It's going to lead to war. So the attack is going to take place on the first Saturday of October of 2023. And that is exactly when it happened. That is exactly Hamas invaded Israel on the first Saturday of October of 2023, on a Saturday, on the Sabbath, on a Hebrew holy day. It took Israel by surprise, led to war. And Larry, the day I shared it on a Friday night. The next day it happened. I shared it on October 6th. On the stroke of, after we went to midnight, it happened. So this is a mystery, one of the mysteries opened up in the Dragon's Prophecy that may enable us to know future events and when they're going to happen. In fact, 3 events after I finished the manuscript of the Dragon's Prophecy, 3 of them came true. So this just shows you how amazing God is, and He is absolutely in control.
What does the Hebrew origins of the devil's names reveal about his existence? So that's an important question.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that there are a lot of people who have an issue with the idea of the devil. There are even believers who kind of struggle with. They don't believe in God, but the devil. Well, the thing is, first of all, there is evil in the world. We know that. Nobody can deny that. And the evil that's in the world it goes beyond the natural. For instance, you cannot explain an Adolf Hitler and the Third Reich and Nazism. You can't explain that naturally. It just doesn't work. There is something supernatural linked to evil. And the Bible gives the answer. There is a being that, as we know, that was an angelic being that inverted against God. And the Hebrew word literally is Hasatan, which means the one who goes against, or the opposer, the one who is adverse to everything. And so this one goes against all the ways of God. And the thing is that, when you take that's one part of the mystery. But then we have another mystery which has to do with the Jewish people, and when you put it together, you have an explosion, and we can get into that.
You spoke about the mystery of the Jewish people. What is that?
The Jewish people are not a natural people. They are a supernatural people. They should not exist. They only exist because of God and because He willed it. And they only keep existing because God continually wills it. They exist because God says to be a witness of His existence. Larry, there was a story. It's said to be true that a European king asked his court minister, give me one proof that God exists, and the guy says, the Jew, and that's it. And the thing is that the Jewish people exist. He says, you are my witnesses. He says, as long as I'm paraphrasing, but the stars are in the sky and the natural order is there, so long as that doesn't cease, you will not cease to be a nation before me. And so that is the promise. So the Jewish people are a sign that God exists. They should not exist. They exist supernaturally by God. That's the first thing. But what people often don't realize is they are also the proof of the existence of the enemy. You see, when I said at the beginning, you have this being, this entity, Satan, or also, that in Hebrew, Satan, we get Satan from it. Then that word was translated into Greek, and it became diabolos, which we get the word devil from. And that means, again, the opposer, the accuser. And the thing is that you have that on one side. He's going to seek to stop the purpose of God, destroy them. On the other side, you have a nation that exists to accomplish the purpose of God, to bring the purpose of God into the world, to bring the Word into the world, to bring the knowledge of God into the world, to bring God, Messiah, into the world, and ultimately to bring the kingdom, to bring Him back and bring the kingdom into the world. So what would happen? I mean, Larry, let's say we're not even from this planet. We just heard, all we knew was those two things. We didn't know anything about history. We could right there to say and determine that there is going to be a war, and the war is going to be against this creature, this fallen, angelic, twisted entity, Satan, to destroy, to come against, to thwart the battle, to accuse the Jewish people, to stop them from existing, to seek their annihilation. And look, you want to see how real this is, look at the history of the world. Look at Jewish history. For the last 4,000 years, there is no people, I mean, we would expect them to become the most persecuted people, the most warred against people, the most hated people, the most falsely accused people, and that's exactly what they became. So the Jewish history actually proves not only the existence of God, but the existence of the enemy. And so you want to understand what's happened. You understand Hitler, that's the only way you can understand him. You want to understand, what happened, on October 7th, that is the only way you can understand. It's not natural. Larry, in places of the world, where they were communists, they accused the Jews of being capitalist. When in the capitalist world, they accused them of being communist. The anti-Semites said, well, they stick together. That's the problem. And then other anti-Semites said, well, they don't stick together. They join in. It doesn't matter what the Jewish people do. They are going to be attacked. It's not consistent, not natural. It is supernatural. The beginning anti-Semitism, the first anti-Semite was an angel. The anti-Semitism is a demonic, a fallen angelic phenomenon, and that's why it doesn't end. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't end. It's a light sleeper because the enemy doesn't end, and that's what we're dealing with, and that's going to open up a gigantic mystery.
I've never seen such a rise in anti-Semitism as we're seeing today, even among, educated people. They're wrong in history. They don't believe history. They're wrong in geography. And that's exactly what Prime Minister Netanyahu said in his recent address to Congress. The other side gets an F in history and also an F in geography.
Yes. Yeah, there are people who were shocked by this. I mean, on one hand, it's shocking. I mean, you're seeing this wave of anti-Semitism, even in America, and they're shocked. But when you look at the big picture, it is not, this is, we should have expected it because, the enemy does not die. The war does not stop. And, the names change, the people, the pawns, the instruments change, but, and the reasons change, but the geography changes, but it never ends. We are dealing with a cosmic battle that the Bible reveals to us.
I think that's so well put because, when you think about Israel, what's happened down through the centuries, and you think of the fact that they are God's people, no wonder the devil is angry. I mean, the scriptures come from Israel, Paul and all the others. Jesus, in his human nature, was a Jew. So Satan's really got a rage, and he's really unhappy about Israel. Well, friends, we're visiting with Jonathan Cahn and talking about his new book, The Dragon's Prophecy. You can have your own copy of this very significant and revealing book by calling 1-800-652-1144. The Dragon's Prophecy opens up an entire other realm of the unseen forces determining the events of our times. Once again, our toll-free number, 1-800-652-1144. Now, Jonathan, you've got a DVD album, like you always have, something extra. Tell us about that.
Yeah, this is exclusive. This is the Dragon's Prophecy Uncensored. This is the 8 DVD album. This you cannot get on Amazon. You cannot go to Barnes & Noble. This is exclusive. It's only a handful of ministries I've given this to. And this is what Southwest Radio Church has. And this is the uncensored content, the uncensored messages, the uncensored mysteries. Things that I couldn't put in the book, wouldn't put in the book, or it has the overall mystery of the Dragon's Prophecy, but it has actually things that, like we mentioned, that there's a mystery that actually tells what's going to happen and when it's going to happen. It may enable us to know what is going to happen and the dates, or even the timing of it. Well, that I get strongly into it in detail into it, and so it not only has more, it has mysteries and things I have never put anywhere else in the world, including end-time prophecy. For instance, questions about where's America on end-time? What's the next great event? So that's all coming, and it's all in that book. And plus, last thing is that you're going to see. Now, you're not just going to read it. You're going to see these things explode, prophetic things explode. You can show it to people in your church. You can show it in your thing. You're going to be so blessed. It's exclusive. Don't miss it. The Dragon's Prophecy Uncensored, the 8 DVD album.
Wow, 8 DVDs. I know with your other books and other programs that we've done, you've had something uncensored. And I've heard so many good comments about that. Like it, well, this one's 8 DVDs. Wow. Intense.
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually, Larry, it's actually more. There's so much to say. I've never done this before. It's more than 8 hours. It's more than there's so much there. You're going to be really blessed. I believe they're going to be really blessed with this.
Wow, that's something that's really exciting. The book itself is wonderful. I've read it from cover to cover. So our toll-free number, 1-800-652-1144. Now, Jonathan, the book of Revelation contains a vision of a dragon and a woman. What does it reveal, and what's that all about?
Yeah, the Revelation 12. Actually, Larry, I was in my car, and I was planning to do a different book at the time, which I will do in the future, but the Lord interrupted me, and I saw a dragon in my in my mind's eye, and I knew it was from Revelation. I knew it was Revelation 12. And interesting. I'll throw this in. I don't normally do, but it turns out I start writing it 2024, and it turns out 2024. Guess what? Is the year of the dragon. There's a comet that comes by once every 71 years. It's come by now in 2024. It's called the Mother of Dragons. I just heard that at one of the Democratic conventions. I'm sorry, one of the conventions. One person was introduced as the Mother of Dragons. I mean, there's something going on here. And the thing is that it comes from Revelation, and the word, the Greek word drakon, which we get, it's actually from a Hebrew word as well. And it says, I saw in the heavens, I saw a dragon, a red dragon. And then it also says, I saw a woman in the heavens. And the woman is clothed with the sun. She stands on the moon. She has 12 stars around her head. That's Israel. It can only, that's the imagery from Genesis of Israel, and 12 stars, the 12 tribes, and the woman gives birth to Messiah. That is only Israel. The church is born of Messiah, but Israel gives birth to Messiah. And so it's Israel. Now, the thing is that, and what you see in that vision is a war of the dragon against the woman. And the amazing thing is, this is written like 2,000 years ago, and the most dramatic parts of this war, whether you go from the Holocaust or anything else, happened after it was written. And so the dragon wars, you were kind of alluding to that, Larry, when you were talking about how he just hates the Jewish people. Well, yeah, we'd expect that. And the thing is that in the vision, it says he hunts her, or the Greek word can be translated as persecutes the woman. Persecutes. Interesting. Think about how many people are so associated with the word persecution as the Jewish people. But it's all there in the New Testament, in the Greek, in Revelation. So persecuted, and it says that it says the dragon has an orgizo. He was filled with rage. You also alluded to that, rage, orgizo. And so when you look at the history of the Jewish people, there's a rage against them, and it's not natural. It's a rage. What was it that possessed Hitler? It was the rage of the dragon. And so, what is possessing Hamas? A rage of the dragon. So and interesting, you ever think, why is it that the most evil people in the world just happen to be the ones who hate the Jewish people the most? Well, that's because they're linked to what's driving them, evil, the enemy. So it says that. Now, the other thing to note about that vision of Revelation 12 is the dragon, attacks the woman at the beginning of the age when she gives birth to a Messiah, or he's seeking to attack her. The war begins then, first century. And then it focuses on the end times. You got a 2,000-year period there, but you have the end times. And so the thing is that the focus of the dragon, what this is about, is he's focusing on the nation of Israel. Israel existed in the first century, and it exists now in the end times. So when Israel comes back into the world, the dragon's war is going to go into overdrive, and it's going to be focused ultimately on the nation of Israel. It's always been focused on the Jewish people, but it's going to be focused on the nation of Israel. The interesting thing is that they come into the world, as far as we know, well, I'll put it this way. The very first appearance of the word Israel happens in the inscriptions of the ancient pharaohs. Right after the word Israel appears for the first time, the word Philistine appears in the same records of the pharaohs. So when Israel comes into the world, the Philistines come basically to attack them, used by the enemy. So what would happen? Could the enemy actually resurrect the ancient Philistines? Well, he has, and we already know them. And people who are listening right now, they already know it without knowing it. You know it. You see, they are called, and it's not about, by the way, it's not about the people. We need to pray for the people. They don't know what they're doing, but they're being used. And they're being used in an ancient mystery. And the thing is that they are called today, we call them the Palestinians. The word, people say, the Palestinians, what does that mean? The word Palestinian, and I want everybody to listen closely here, the word Palestinian literally means the Philistines. That's what it means. In their own language, they don't call themselves Palestinians. They call themselves, in Arabic, Philistine or Philistini. That's what they call themselves, the Philistines. You've got a people who are actually called the Philistines, and what's happening is it's actually, when Israel started coming back in the world, and actually Zionism began officially like in the late 1800s, 1897. The next year, the word Philistine in Arabic begins spreading into the Arabic world. Wow. And it's like it starts taking them over. And step by step, with the rebirth of Israel was a major step in the Philistine resurrection. And then after that, when the 6-Day War was an even more major step. And so these people start identifying as the Philistines. And what's happening, it starts overtaking them. They start getting conformed into the image of the ancient Philistines, and they were the enemies, so they become the enemies of Israel, to fight them, to say they shouldn't exist, to try to delegitimize them. All that is part of the dragon's war, and we're watching it before our eyes.
Well, a related question would be, what is the mystery of the Pilushet?
Yeah, this is, in Hebrew, Pilushet speaks of the place where the Philistines dwelt. And, in some of your Bibles, it might say Philistia, but the word is Pilushet. It was the coastal part of the land of Israel, one in the southern coast, bordering on Egypt on one side. And the thing is that bordering on the Mediterranean. Now, the thing is, today, it has a different name. And do you know what Pilushet is, or Philistia is? It is called the Gaza Strip. So the Gaza Strip is the resurrection of ancient Philistia, the land of the Philistines. And so the amazing thing is, people think, well, that's always been, the city of Gaza, that's ancient, but Gaza Strip has not existed. Listen, I want everybody to get it. It suddenly came into existence, back into existence, resurrected when? When in 1948. Israel comes back into existence. Then the ancient land of the Philistines comes back into existence. The Jewish people return to Israel officially in 1948. Same year, that people called the Philistines return to the land of the Philistines. Same year, they start flocking to the Gaza Strip, Philistia. And so it's like everything is being set up in its place, and from that land that we call the Gaza Strip are going to come all sorts of evils or calamities, just as they did in ancient times. So it's amazing. We are all part of an ancient drama, an ancient mystery that is heralding us, is hurling us into the end times.
Well, friends, this is really an amazing book, The Dragon's Prophecy. It deals with several issues. Is there more to the world than we see with our eyes, another realm? Is there that other realm transforming our world at this very moment? Is there an ancient vision that unlocks what is transforming our world and what is yet to come? And of course, we've been speaking about that. It also addresses, is there a dangerous force from ancient times that's way in the past, now operating in the world and determining the course of world events? And how about this? Did a 3,000-year-old mystery actually foretell the invasion of Israel by Hamas down to the year and even the exact date? All of this is so very, very important. Of course, Jonathan Cahn, if you're new to him, and I don't think that's hardly anyone, but he is a wonderful prophetic writer. He's written several books. The Harbinger, which became an instant New York Times bestseller and brought him to national and international prominence. Every one of his books since then has become a New York Times bestseller, including The Mystery of the Shemitah, The Book of Mysteries, The Paradigm, The Oracle, The Harbinger 2, The Return of the Gods, and The Josiah Manifesto. And I've had the privilege of speaking to Jonathan on each one of these books. Jonathan, we have to close out this show, but we're looking forward to continuing our discussion. Friends, be sure to tune in to our next interview with Jonathan Cahn, and we will continue to discuss his latest book, The Dragon's Prophecy. Thank you so much, Jonathan.
Thank you.
The Dragon's Prophecy, Israel, the Dark Resurrection, and the End of Days book and 8 DVD series by Jonathan Cahn is here and ready to ship to you. Is there more to the world than meets our eyes? Another realm that's transforming our world at this very moment? Is there an ancient vision that unlocks what is really happening in our world and what is yet to come? Did a 3,000-year-old mystery actually foretell the invasion of Israel by Hamas down to the year and even the exact date? After 8 New York Times bestsellers, Jonathan Cahn now releases his newest stunning blockbuster, The Dragon's Prophecy. For the first time ever, Jonathan Cahn will open up end-time prophecy to reveal the mysteries behind the end of the age and what is now happening before our eyes, even the hidden keys to victory in the light of what's coming, and how to overcome your dragon. Order the Dragon's Prophecy book and 8 DVD set today. Simply call 1-800-652-1144. That's 1-800-652-1144. You can also order at our website, swrc.com. The Dragon's Prophecy by Jonathan Cahn, 1-800-652-1144. Jonathan Cahn continues revealing Israel, the Dark Resurrection, and the End of Days on tomorrow's Watchman on the Wall program. Watchman on the Wall is a production of Southwest Radio Ministries and is supported by faithful listeners like you. Visit swrc.com.